system. It says member clicks here at the top. So one important factor as I'm getting in here is it is a cloud-based system. So all of your data is hosted in private cloud. We actually host our data at Amazon Web Services, so it's safe, secure, and accessible to you 24/7. But the other big thing is it allows you to be mobile, if you will. So I'm not tethered to my desk all day. I can log into the system from wherever I'm at as long as I have an internet connection and obviously a device to log in. So, think about when you're not at the office and you need to gain access to your information. I know some of you all have field reps that are out away from the office all day and need access to a system. So the fact that it is a cloud-based solution is vital to that. A lot of our current clients have actually, leveraged that over the course of the last couple of years because they've been working from home through the pandemic and things like that as well. So that is one important thing to note here. It is a cloud solution. It's all just done through a browser environment. So it's just me going into a URL, putting in my username and password, and I'll be logged into the system. Another important note there, you get an unlimited number of licenses or users. So we don't charge you based on the number of users or licenses you may need. So regardless of your staff size, it's not going to cost you more to have someone else using the system. You can, though, restrict what folks can do in the system. So there are admin permissions in here. I know sometimes we start talking about financial areas of the system, or this person is the one that manages our website. We don't want them over here. That's perfectly okay. You don't have to open the entire system to everyone that's using it. All right. So for today's call, again, I will keep this fairly high level. And again, we can kind of get into the weeds a bit more on specific workflows that you do as an organization or how your affiliate operates on future conversations or future demos. But I do want to give you a really kind of general overview of the system and the features and functionality that it entails. There are, however, three really key pieces to how the system is set up and really what drives the remainder of the system in terms of how you want to build lists or send communications or permission certain things out on the website. And that really entails around the member types, the attributes, and the groups that you set up in the system. So we'll talk a little bit about each of these at the outset of the call because they are really fundamental to how the rest of the system will work. And certainly some of the other things we'll talk about on today's call tie back into these three kind of pillars in the system. It is important to note through the onboarding process, we are importing all of your existing data. We are setting up your member types. We are setting up your due structures. We are pulling in attributes, which we'll talk about here in a moment, which are, quite frankly, just data points that you're tracking and information you have in your system. So as I'm showing this to you, don't feel like you have to hand enter all of this info. But the benefit here is you have access to all of this. So this is not something you have to come back to us to make minor changes on, or if you want to start tracking a new data point, you have to come to us for some coding. This is all part of your system. You have access to all of this, and certainly support from our end if you need help doing any of it, but it does not require us to intervene and us to set, specific things up for you going forward. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about the member types because those are really fundamental to how the system works. Worth noting too, you can keep profiles that aren't members in your system. So every record in your system doesn't have to be a member. You can certainly have prospects or non-member records in the system as well. But the fundamentals around how your members will work, think about the various member types that you have. And I took some time ahead of today's call, and I know it's not uniform across every single affiliate. So, hey, we have producer members, we have affiliates, we have associate members, we have lifetime members, we have individuals, organizations. There could be a mixture of those things. So we're not a one size fits all from that perspective to say you have to be this or you have to be that. You can really set these up or configure them however you'd like. So if you have a certain vernacular or naming convention you'd like to use, certainly put those into the system. I do have some examples built out in my demo environment. So, individual members, organizational members, again, lifetime members, students, young professionals. Again, you can determine all the naming conventions tied to these member types. You can also control all of the different settings tied to that member type as well. So you think about how are dues calculated? Is it a flat rate due structure? Is it a calculational formula? Do I want to offer any separate options? I know some states offer county memberships built within that, certain prices for those, and the counties may not all have the same rates. All of that can be built into these different member types. An example of that, again, I'll just edit quick settings related to this member type here. And as I scroll down, you can see, certain membership periods have a certain rate, and you can add in durations or lifetime membership capabilities within here. But this one actually has the ability to pick a chapter. So kind of similar to what you would see at a county level, for example. So it allows them to pick that through the join process. If they're joining online through a form, or certainly if you're joining them within the system, it just gives some efficiency and some automation to that process. So you're not hand entering all of your members. Right? So that's just a little bit on those member types in terms of the setup. Again, those are really definable by you. And again, we set all of those up during the implementation process. So it's you providing that info to us. We're actually pulling it into the system and doing all the setup and configuration related to those member types. And again, you can create new ones or create changes to those member types going forward. And certainly we're here to assist with that as well. The other really important piece tied to those member types is my ability to set up auto notifications around the renewal process. So if the system allows you to set up auto reminders that will send out to your members as they approach their renewal date. And when they go out and what they say is 100% customizable to what you want to send to them. So in my system, I have 4 emails set to go out of my system automatically. The first one would go out 3 months, in this case, ahead of their renewal date or expiration date. The next would go out 2 months, 1 month, and 5 days. These are all, again, customizable to the time frame you want to send it. So you can pick any number of days and or months prior to that renewal date for the email to auto-generate and send out from your system. You can also customize what that message actually says. So you can see here, I'm personalizing the communication. It's pulling in their name. You can pull in their expiration date. Really can merge in any data that lives on that profile. So anything you'd need to pull in to relay to them in that communication about renewal, something from their profile, or again, just create a level of personalization to that email, easily done within the system. The other big thing that is important here is I can also attach the invoice to the renewal notification. The benefit here is now the members don't have their invoice. They could print it and send it a check if they need to. They can also click that invoice and hit pay right within the invoice. It does not require a login or anything like that. They simply hit pay. It takes them to a payment screen. They can enter their information, submit that payment, and everything flows right back into your system for you. So there's no manual effort or entry there. It's all PCI compliant from a processing perspective. None of the credit card data lives in your system. And it does run that payment in real time. So you're not chasing down a bunch of declined credit cards. You're certainly not having to manually enter anything into your system from a payment standpoint. It would pull right back into the system, tied to the invoice question, and mark it as paid. So again, you can set up these notifications to go out, have those invoices attached, and certainly you're building a cadence in here. I would love to say everyone that receives their first notification just pays and you're all set. But the reality is you might have to reach out a few more times. And again, this is a way to automate those emails at a time of your choosing as someone's approaching that renewal date. At any point in this cadence that you build, if they pay that renewal, the remaining notifications would not go out. So this is only looking in the system for those that have yet to renew, and then sending those emails out automatically based on those dates and time frames you set. Now, I can also set up automated notifications to go out during what we call a grace period. So many organizations, when that due date has passed, they don't simply just drop everyone that goes 1 day overdue. You're likely still trying to reach out, encourage them to renew. There may be phone calls built into this cadence as well, but the emails that you want to automate, you can send those out after that due date as well. So, hey, we're on a calendar-based renewal cycle and everyone renews January 1st. Maybe on the 15th of January, I want another email to go out, or 10 days after that, or the day after it was due. So it does allow you to build in some automated notifications even past that due date. This works really well, obviously, if you're on an anniversary basis as well. So if your members are renewing based on their join date, you could have members renewing at any given day throughout. So it can work on either an anniversary schedule or a calendar schedule. It is indifferent in terms of how that works. It's always going to look for that particular renewal date in your system. And then finally, you can actually send out notifications once that member has lapsed. So once the grace period is expired, they would fall into a lapsed status. And so, their member privileges essentially have been removed. They can't access member-only information online anymore. They wouldn't be able to register for an event at the member rate, for example, but you still may want to send out some communications. Again, it might be that one last effort to get them to come back. It could be, hey, we send a 3-month, drop notification. Maybe there's a survey included. Hey, we'd love to know more about maybe why you didn't bring it. Getting that intel and information from the former member in that case is really valuable. And then maybe even have like a win back campaign, for example, to say, hey, 6 months after someone drops, we want to do some type of automated outreach to encourage them to join again. Maybe that 6-month notification has a link to the join form built right into it, so they can click and then rejoin the organization at that point. So those are just a few quick items. Again, the system is really built around creating efficiency, and certainly automation ties into that. To say, instead of me having to constantly pull lists and send communications and find out who's paid and who hasn't, the system can actually do that for you. So I don't have to spend a lot of time there. I can focus my energy and effort in other key areas that will help drive renewal, member acquisition, member satisfaction. So hopefully that was helpful, kind of touching on those member types. Again, those will be really fundamental to some of the other things that we look at here in the system. From a group perspective, this one's actually pretty simple to talk about. Every member type is a group, but then also you can create a whole variety of groups beyond that for like your board or committees or working groups or really anything you want to designate from a group perspective. Groups drive permission. That's really the essence of all this, whether it's permission to take a form. Hey, these are our voting members. And when I send out that election form to my voting members, you have to authenticate who you are, and only voting members can take that form, for example. It could be access or permission to something out on the website. So this is member-only content, or this is only an area of the site in terms of board resources. So you have to be a board member to access it. So putting someone into a group is really all about driving permissions in the system, and then also permissions that live out on the website. We'll talk about that side of the coin here in a moment as well, our ability to build sites for you or to tie into an existing site for the system as well. Okay. The last little area I'll touch on here before we kind of start to poke around in other areas of the system are the attributes. So an attribute in our system is really a data point. So pieces of information you want to track and monitor, be able to filter and segment by in your system, build lists, pull reports. There's a variety. So again, a whole variety of items I may be asking a particular profile. In this case, I'll use a multi-selection checkbox because I want them to do all their interests. And again, for the sake of time, I'll just put in some options here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, you're writing in your options here, but you can see how easy it is just to create a variety of data points. So again, going forward, you want to create a specific data point you want to be able to pull and filter lists by. That's easily done here within the system. You simply save that data point. And then again, it's just about defining where does this data point need to live. Is it just purely an admin filterable data point that we have in our system? Or is this something that we want to expose to the member when they log into their profile and or want the member to be able to edit when they log into their profile online? So that's just a little bit, again, about those 3 fundamental areas there. And again, as we start to explore other avenues of the system, it will hopefully make some sense in terms of why we touched on those and why they're pretty important to kind of define here at the outset of today. So again, I'll pop back out here to our home screen, kind of looking across the system here. These are all the areas of the software, if you will, really designed to, again, pull everything into one place. So again, I'm not having to use a separate system for running dues renewals, a separate system for my contact list, a separate system for my email, a separate system even for my website if I don't choose to do that. So all of that can be built right within the software and managed right within the software as well. So I'll quickly touch on these particular areas of the system, and then we'll kind of circle back to a few key areas and dig a bit more deeply in there so that you can get a sense of what they are at a little deeper level, so to speak. So on the website side of things, again, we have the ability to help create a whole new site for your organization or to tie into an existing site. So we don't force your hand one direction or another. But if you choose to do the site with us, you can manage the entirety of the site right from the system, adding pages, swapping out content. And we've done, several of your peers have sites done by us. I actually pulled up a live example. So if you go to the Colorado Cattlemen's Association, this is a site. The things that you see on this site, navigational menu items, call to action buttons, ability to log into a profile or click a button and fill out a join form and all of that information automatically create a profile in your system. All of that's driven from the database. So as I scroll down here, everything you see on this site is updated and managed through the database, the quick links, images, graphics, etc. So encourage you to tinker around or take a peek at some of those sites that we've done from your peers side of things. But again, if there's a situation where you just simply want us to tie into an existing site, that's perfectly okay as well. So Iowa is an example of that. This is not our website. They elected to have something tied into a third-party website, whether it's a WordPress or other provider. So if you click to become a member, or you register for an event, or you donate, or you fill out a form, that's going to connect into our system. So it's going to carry forward like the branding colors and the images and things like that. So it gives a sense to the user that they're in the same place, but those particular tools are coming from our system. So again, we can dive more deeply into a website and kind of more of a one-on-one conversation in terms of how each of those options work, but just know that either creating a whole new site or tying into an existing site, either option is available to you. I will point out in some of the pricing information that you may be requesting, if you do want a site, that site is actually included in the pricing. So it's important to note that as well. On the community side, this is really where engagement's occurring. So, if you have e-list or listservs, you have certainly managing your online event calendar right through the system. So ability for folks to see events, register, and all of that data to flow right back into your system. If you have any online directories or ways for members to find other members, for example. And probably the most commonly used area of the engagement piece is emailing from the system. So what we call our contact center. It gives you the ability to send out mass communications, certainly personalize those communications, build newsletters, save templates within the system, set up automated communications. So there's ways to build email cadences built off of criteria. So, hey, every Friday I want to email everybody that hasn't registered for this event, and I want to link to the event registration form to live in that email that goes out. So it can dynamically pull lists and automate those communications out of your system, whether that's on a specific schedule, like I mentioned, every Friday, or I could pick and choose my customized dates. I want to go out tomorrow, and then next Friday, and then the following Tuesday. So again, it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you want to send those communications out. I'm actually going to show you a little bit about our list building tool, and then I'll circle back into the contact center to show you how you build an email, how do you build a newsletter. It's really simple, just done through a drag and drop tool, but we'll circle back to that here momentarily. We talked a little bit about the database piece, so no need to kind of dig any more deeply there. Hopefully what we talked about there was helpful. On the form side of things, so forms in our system are a collection of data and in some cases payment. So forms can be used to accept donations. Certainly your join form would be a form. Registration forms. You've got surveys you can send out from the system. So there are a whole variety of ways that you can leverage the form tool to collect that information. You can customize all of those forms, so collect the information that's important to you. It does not necessitate that you ask the same questions for every event or get the same type of information for each item, but it does give you a ton of configuration options within that to say, Do I want to offer member, non-member rates at an event? Or do I want only voting members to be able to fill out this election form? Or do I want, to create all my different member types and do structures within a join form, and when someone fills that out online, it all flows right back into my database. So all of that is at your disposal in the form piece. I'll click on that, pop that open for you. Again, you can see here I have annual conference registration forms. If you have awards programs, you can do different awards programs and have submissions come in, and even ability to allow for maybe committees or certain members to go in and view those submissions, rate those submissions, apply comments to those, and then from an overview perspective, see who got the most votes or who scored the highest or who the winners of those awards are. I have virtual events set up in here, membership forms built out in here. And so again, very simple drag and drop tool to pull in different elements to those forms, make certain field forms required. And anytime a form is filled out on the site or through like a survey or an email you may send out, all of that data comes dynamically back into the system. So again, it's not me having to manually enter that information. It's all coming back in. For example, for my conference registration, I can click and see who those 12 registrants are. I could go see a dashboard view very quickly of what's going on with my event, or what breakout sessions someone opted into, or dietary restrictions they have. So really easy ways to build out those forms to collect the necessary information. And then again, if there's a payment associated with that, collect payment at time, or even offer to be invoiced for those particular items they're purchasing. On the reporting front, there are certainly ways to dig in. I mentioned the email tool within here, so I can see open rates and click rates and really engagement with those communications I'm sending. There's a variety of membership reports I can pull and kind of understand membership trends and renewal trends and year over year type of information that can be valuable to kind of understands how we are comparative today versus last year. There are a variety of engagement reports. So to me, this is really a best practice in terms of understanding how involved or how engaged your members are. Quite frankly, it helps determine what members might be at risk, those that aren't participating or coming to events or logging into their profile. All of those different things are forms of engagement. So it does give you a sense of how engaged or involved that particular profile of a member might be. And then finally here on the financial side, again, we talked a little bit on the member types about automating the renewal process, but all your other invoices are running through the system here as well. So the database truly becomes your system of record from an AR standpoint. And there are easy ways to get that and export that financial data out and get that into your financial system of record, whether that be QuickBooks or other financial systems. Ability to easily run what we call transaction reports, filter out information, export that information to then go push that into your financial system of record. When we start thinking about the financial side of the system, again, those dues renewal notifications are automated and those invoices are dynamically created. Same thing on the event side. If someone registers for an event, that invoice will be created. If they pay through that form, it'll affix that payment to that invoice and bring that right into the system. So again, it is all automated in terms of bringing that information back into our database. But I can easily apply payments in the system as well. People are still going to send checks in, or they're going to call in and say, I want to make a payment. So there needs to be easy ways to come in and see those invoices, search for those invoices, whether it's by name or invoice number. If someone called in, we'll just use Abel as an example here. Abel calls in and wants to pay this $250 invoice they have. I can simply click pay. It allows me to run payments right through the system. So if she's calling in, she's obviously not sending a check. I move this down to credit card. I would select my card type, put in the card number, and it'll send a confirmation to her. Again, I can update that address prior to submitting that payment. Again, PCI compliant, does not keep credit card information in the system, just simply in real time calls out to the processor, runs that payment in real time, confirms the transaction, sends an automated receipt to Able. In this particular case, marks the invoice as paid in your system. So again, I can process payments that way, or checks payments come in. I can come in and mark what we call an offline payment. I might come in and say, hey, I want a check, put in reference number, mark the payment onto the next check payment. So I can get my stack of checks for the day, mark all of those as paid, and I'm on with the rest of my day. All right, so that's just a little bit of an overview of kind of the modules, if you will, of the system. There's also the settings area here. It's really just about some of the config and account settings we set up during the implementation process. So we don't need to dig too deeply into the details there with respect to the various settings. Two other really important areas though. One is our profile list. Another is just our quick search tool. So if I wanted to go search for a person or an organizational record in my system, a quick search is just an easy way to do that. I just start typing the name of a person, it starts fielding results here. So every profile with the name Rory in it started showing. You can't tell, I've created a ton of profiles for myself in the system. There is a merge tool, by the way, so if you ever happen to create a duplicate, you do have the ability to easily merge those two profiles together. It does maintain the full history of those two profiles. So, you know, we have a profile in here for Bob Smith and Robert Smith. Lo and behold, it's the same person. They both profiles have come to events. We've sent email to both profiles. How do we get that into one, you know, consistent record? Very simply, there's just a merge tool, allows you to merge those two profiles together, and it can choose the data that you want to use in the combined profile as well. Right? So just really easy way. I can also search by email or organization name as well. If I pop into my record, you'll be able to see all the information about me. So, you know, my profile pic here, that is actually me, as you can tell through the video. My contact information, every profile can be assigned a unique member number, my member type, my status as a member, when I joined, when I last renewed, my expiration date. These things dynamically update based on a join form I filled out, when I last made a payment in terms of my renewal date, and my expiration date is dynamic as well. So these are not things you have to constantly come in and change and edit and modify when a renewal occurs. These will be automated on your profiles in your system. You can also see kind of a history. Where have I been as a member? Hey, I joined, I lapsed, I renewed. All of that activity is tracked at the profile level. So you can always kind of get a sense of how someone has been involved or engaged with the organization. You can also see event history. So I mentioned the ability to create registration forms and have an online event calendar. All of that's dynamic back to the system. So you're able to track not only just the registration, but also attendance at those events. And it does create a history back on your profile. So I don't have to go digging through forms and event information. That information lives right on the profile. It makes it very easy for me to see, again, how involved or engaged this person's been on the event side of things. Down below, I can also see all the contact information and other info we have on this person and or company. So again, we mentioned and talked about attributes before. These are the data points that live against the profile. Your built-in attributes certainly are going to be present on your profiles, but then all your custom attributes. So, you know, information you're tracking, you know, here we have a certification number or chapters I belong to or interest I have. Apparently I don't have it. So again, those are things I can maybe update on my profile online, or you could update internally if you found out there's a change in that information. A clickable link to my LinkedIn profile, for example. So again, these are definable by you, but they all live at the profile level as well. You also have a message history. So we'll go into the communication tool here momentarily. All the communication you send from your system are tracking back to the profile or recipient's profile within the system as well. So I don't have to go look in the email tool, or I don't have to look in my Outlook sent folder like, hey, did we send Bob that email? It will be right on their profile. It will also tell me whether or not they opened it, right? So, hey, I sent this, you know, hey, did they actually engage with this communication or not? Did they open it? So you can get a sense of you know, who's opening what, but also at the profile level, you can see what's occurring as well. You can also track committees in our system. So you can track, you know, their position on the committee. You can track, you know, service periods, if you will, or start date, end date in terms of their term. And then folks can automatically fall off based on that term as well. So you'll see here, like I'm a past member of a few committees. That's because the date has actually passed here, right? I'm active on another, you put me as a future member of the board. If I just got voted in, but my term hasn't started, then again, my start date's in the future, it can automatically turn me into an active member, which by the way, would give me access automatically to maybe board resources on the site. Hey, I'm an active member now. I have access to this at this point. So, and so you have this information that lives in here as well. any form I've ever sent in, so my join form or a survey, or in this case, a board election form I filled out, you'd have access to that at the profile level as well. All the invoices that may live against the profile, you can see within here. So not only do they live in the financial side of the system, they also live at the profile side as well. So I can easily come in here if someone called up and said, hey, did you get that payment? Yes, I got your $400 payment. Oh, great. Can you send me another receipt for that? I don't have it anymore. I misplaced it. Certainly. Click of a button, it'll send it back out to them. Moreover, I can also let them know all that payment history lives on their profile online as well. So yes, I'll still send it, but I can educate them that, hey, if you ever need that in the future, if you log into your profile, you can see, all your open invoices, all your past payments, all your receipts, those all live on your profile as well. Any notes you may want to track? Again, this could be something where you have a phone conversation with someone, you want to put in those notes, basically submit or save those against the profile. It just gives some good context to conversations you're having. I showed earlier that the communication history is all trailed back to the profile here. Certainly phone conversations you have might be vital to log, and again, there's visibility here across the staff to say, oh, I see, our executive had a conversation with someone yesterday and told them they could get a $10 off on the event registration. I need to, honor that, so to speak. Or again, any conversation you're having within here might be important to track at that level. So that's just a little view of the profile. Again, I just want to give you a sense of what's in here, what's on a record, kind of how that history is being built dynamically on a profile. The other really important area of our system is what we call a profile list. This is your list building tool, your segmentation tool, if you will. Ability to pull information down and easily understand how many members do we have in this category or this type, or that participate in this program or get the newsletter. Any of those data points can be filtered through this profile tool. And it's not me writing code. It's not me writing scripts. It's not me doing if-then statements in the system. This is a point-and-click query tool that's designed to be easy for anyone to use. So you can see my search criteria here. I can pull it. If I wanted to pull certain member types, hey, I want to pull all of my, employee members, all of my individual members, and all of my, student members into a list. We'll run that list. It's going to give me a number of 108. It's going to show me who all of those members are. I might just want to know a number. Great. Now I know exactly how many of those member types I have in the system. But more often it's, I need to know more. I need to dig further. I want to filter more information. Well, how many of those particular member types maybe are, certified, for example? So I can come in here. Again, these are all those custom attributes we just talked about. So how many of those are certified? I could run that list again. It's just applying another filter. Well, now I have 9. So I can continue to build and build and build and build the filter criteria. So I get the list that I'm looking for. And again, any of those data points, attributes, member types can be pulled in. You can use and criteria to build that list, or you can use or criteria. I need this and this, I need this or that. And again, you can layer in the different search or filter criteria, however you see fit. You can also pull some other vital information from here. Now, this is just, pulling a list of certified versus not certified members. If I remove this criteria, I could pull in information around events. Hey, I want to pull in everyone that is not yet registered for our annual conference, and I want to market to them. Great. I don't want to pull a bunch of folks that have already registered and send them a reminder or to register, right? They already did that activity. So I can really use those as filter tools with it. Maybe I want to send a post-event survey out. I can run this and say, I want everyone who attended this event, but I want those that have yet to or did not complete the submission of our survey we sent out. Great. Pull that in, send it, it's building your list, and then you're going to pull that list into our communication tool, send out the survey again for it. So just very easy ways to pick and choose and segment information for a variety of purposes. I keep mentioning emails. It's probably the highest probability in terms of use case here. But sometimes you want to, run all of this and do what we call tagging them, which is selecting them. And then again, you can email this group by clicking a button, pulls them into an email, or I might want to export this. And I just need this list and I need to take this list for something. I want to run this export. I can customize what data on each of these, in this case, 9 profiles that I'm exporting. I want their name, I want their phone number, I want their email address. I want their license number, you're pulling those data points into that export. So you can customize the pieces of data you export out. It doesn't require me to export every piece of data and delete 40 rows of information. I can pick and choose those values. Again, I can come in here and add in mass these folks to groups. Maybe, hey, all of these folks that attended this get permission to access this out on our website. I could come in here and again, most commonly I'm coming in and saying, hey, I want to do something in terms of communicating with these folks, right? One thing before I click on this and kind of take us into that email tool that I did want to mention, I do have the ability, as you can see right here, to save my filter criteria. So this is really important because lists that you're building are likely not things that you're looking at just a one-off, right? Certainly could be, but if you're building a list, you may want to use it again and again, right? So save those in here. You don't have to reinvent the wheel or recreate that list every single time you want to pull it. It just becomes a pick list. So I say, hey, I want to pull this particular search criteria, pick it, hit run. It runs data as of real time. So if I ran this today and then I ran it a month from now, it's going to give me data as of the moment I run this list, right? So it's helpful because not having to rebuild the filter, and it is giving me data in real time as well. So with that in mind, let's kind of navigate into the communication tool. So just get a sense of that as well. On the piece here, if I want to email the folks that I pulled down from this list, again, I would select them all, or what we call tag them all, hit contact. It's going to pull them into an email tool. So you can see I still have those 9 profiles brought over into my communication tool. This allows me to easily come in here and build out my communication. If I scroll down here, you can see there's some preloaded templates that are in here, like a new member welcome template or a newsletter template, a launch template. Hey, we just went live with the new system. Here's some things you can do out on your profile now. But you can easily build out communications through here. This template falls in by default in my demo system. I can start anew, right? Create a blank slate and build my email out. Or even from here, I can start to modify the communication. You'll notice all my edit buttons over here to the right. This is all just drag and drop. So if I wanted columns of information to pull into this communication tool, I simply drag it over, drop it in, pick the number of columns I want. In this case, I'll say 3. Again, using my mouse, I can change the size of these columns. I can add content to these, like, hey, I want a picture here in the middle. I can upload that picture from my desktop. It's a very simple process to build out really aesthetically pleasing email. So I just kind of think of a newsletter, right? It's not just a plain text kind of email. I needed to have a little pizzazz. I might want to throw in some videos or images or graphics or info or call to actions. And hey, there are golf outings coming up, register here. So it really gives you the ability to save those templates, drop those in, make any content edits or updates you might want to, and send those communications out with the system. Okay? You'll also notice up here, it is mobile friendly. So we get that question a lot too. If I send this, a lot of folks are going to be opening this on their smartphone. Is this going to be like super shrunk down and they're going to have to do the whole pinch and drag routine to see my email? Absolutely not. It will conform to that mobile environment. It even gives you a sense of that preview. All your messages and call to actions and everything are part of that. So they'll get a good experience whether they're on PC, whether they're on a mobile, whether on a tablet, just pre-conform to that. Okay. And just to show you how simple this is, I am the first to raise my hand here. I am no web designer. I'm no graphic designer, but I built a little template in here. I'll click load and just show you, this pulls my template in. And if I scroll down here, this took me about 5 minutes to build off of our newsletter template. So I just modified a few things. Keep in mind, you can come in obviously and change colors and backgrounds and all of those things. It's rather simple to pull from your color template. So if you wanted to come in here and say, hey, that's not our color scheme, is it going to be blue every time? No, you can simply come in. We actually do provide your hex colors if you're familiar with those at all. So you're not having to kind of guess, is this our blue or is this our red? We can give you those color patterns so you can kind of by default have those appropriate colors in here. But really simple, I put in some different pictures, call to actions, click here to read more. Again, I did make a mention of my upcoming golf outing with a clickable link to register. So again, this is just a pretty standard email in terms of the newsletter. Again, I built this out here in our system, even some time into our social media. Some other things I can do to emails, probably not attaching anything to a newsletter, for example, but other emails I may have attachments I want to send out. I can certainly do that through the system. You'll see this area here called site links. These are links from your system. So like a link to a form or a link to something else in terms of a web page or something like that that I may want to put into any type of communication I may be sending. And then you also get to control where this email is coming from. So, it's not going to come from a member clicks email inbox as an example. It does here because that is where I'm sending it from, but you can control where that's going from. And then lastly, just your send options, right? So pretty commonly you're going to run this and you're going to say, hey, send it right now, hit send, and then start sending out your emails, right? But in some cases you may say, hey, today's not a great day to send an email, or maybe not a great time to send an email. It's 4 o'clock on a Friday. I don't want this sitting in everybody's inbox over the weekend. You can simply come in here and say, hey, I want to queue this up to go out on Monday morning. Well, not this next Monday, it's a holiday. Tuesday morning, it's a good time. Pick your time here. I want this to go out at 10 a.m., for example, and you can switch all of that, accept that date and time, and it will send out at that date and time for you. Now, leading up to that, you can edit that email, you can modify it, stop it from going out. It's just simply putting it in that queue for you. So at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, it will send it out for you, right? And then previously I mentioned these recurring campaigns. So again, these are criteria-based emails. So think of the profile list we looked at earlier, where it was all, folks that haven't filled out this survey yet that did attend this event, for example. I can use that criteria to pull in an automated email and say, you know what, hey, every week on Friday, I want that to go out, and I only want it to go to folks who haven't filled that survey out that did attend. So it'll dynamically update every Friday the recipient list, and anyone who has yet to perform that action, it would send that out. So again, I have options here for sending those out daily, weekly, monthly, annually, and then my custom dates. Now daily, obviously I wouldn't send this type of an email daily, like fill out this form, fill out this form, fill out this form, fill out this form. It's a little overkill, but you can set up things around like when someone's joining the organization and saying, hey, I want this nice welcome packet to go out from the system. They're going to get their confirmation message when they fill out a join form and application, and this screen's going to, be a summary and a confirmation of that. But I want something a bit more, robust in terms of that welcome packet. So, kind of queuing those up. So when someone joins, you can automate that out of your system. You don't have to constantly pull those lists and constantly send those out. Because again, someone could be joining any day out of the year, right? So you have those tools. And then again, the ability to create custom dates. And this is really just your ability to choose specific dates. So it may not be a standard frequency of weekly or monthly or something like that. I can come in here and say, I want this to go out next Thursday, add another date. I want it to go out the following Wednesday, add another date. I want it to go out again, the following Thursday. Again, you kind of get the point there where you can pick and choose your different dates, and again, create a different time to actually go out. So ways to run campaigns through there. So just a little bit on the email tool. Again, as you're sending out communications from here, all of those communications are building a history back on the profile, which we looked at a moment ago. So every email you send will cascade back to the recipient's profile. You can see the analytics both at the profile level of who's opening and engaging with those communications. You can also see that in the reporting piece as well. So if you go into your message reporting, you can see it more of a global level. Hey, I sent this to 200 people, 50 people opened it. Who were those 50 people? Click in and see it. Hey, it bounced for 3 people. I might need to call for those folks and maybe get an updated email address for them. How many people opened the email? How many people clicked on it? Hey, we had a call to action in there about joining our organization because we sent this email out to prospective or former members. Well, those folks that are engaging with that email and opening up, a list of benefits of being a member, it's probably going to be the first set of folks I call that next day to say, hey, let's talk a little bit more. So just ways to see some insights in terms of who's engaging with those communications. So that's a kind of Brief summary again of the system here on the admin side of the database. Hopefully that was helpful to kind of get an understanding of some of those high-level features and functionalities. Again, every affiliate is going to be a bit different in terms of, again, those member types or due structures or types of data you want to track or lists you want to build or how you want to build out your newsletters or forms or things like that. So just know there's a ton of configurability in the system. Again, we do import the data for you. We can help configure and set up the system, set up all those member types and due structures for you. So it is not something you have to build this entire thing out from scratch at the outset of the project. And then also all the support that's available to you on the back end. Oh, one other thing to mention, certainly through the onboarding process, is training. So not only are we configuring and setting up all the system for you, we're also training you on how to do all these things that we walked through today. So there are on-demand videos you can watch and learn much of what we saw today. And then our onboarding team actually has specific calls set up with you through the entirety of onboarding to help expand upon those, right? So it's kind of some self-paced learning initially to kind of get a good sense of the fundamentals or foundation of the system. And then beyond that, the folks on our onboarding team are setting up specific calls with you to dig a bit deeper into those areas and address questions you have about the system and how it works and the configurations of the settings. Obviously, once you're live in our system, you have unlimited support as well. So that's a really important thing too. When you have questions, it's not you're kind of on an island on your own, or you have to look it up yourself and figure out an answer to it, or reach out to all your peers using the system and say, how on earth do I do this? Certainly there are resources to you, but we have folks available via phone, chat, and email. If you have any questions that pop up, again, it is unlimited. It's part of your subscription, so it doesn't cost extra. We don't bill out extra for support. We really kind of hang our hat on providing great service to our partners. And again, that could be something that current affiliate partners could likely share with you as well in terms of how that support and onboarding process has been for them.